I got one shining moment on repeat in my head right now. Our Prater and the Ballgame bracket challenge going strong. There's only like 10 or 11 people that still have perfect brackets, and we have, I believe, 7 or 8 of the 16 games today have already been played, and our Taco Bell hotline is wide open, 208-424-9300 for you guys. And quick welcome to our video audience. This segment is on our YouTube page. You guys, brought to you by the Dollar Loan Center. Favorite March Madness memories, or just the March Madness memory that stands out? Because, Prater, I don't know about yours, but mine is not a good one. This is a moment I want back in my life, and I'm never going to get it.
What is it, Ballgame? Fire away. Let's go.
Here's mine. Okay, I grew up like not even being able to root for the basketball hellhole that is the University of Washington. For whatever reason, in my entire lifetime, the Huskies have never consistently been good at basketball. So much to the point where this year, I don't even know what I don't even care. They're awful. They were worse than the Big Ten. And they were bad my whole life. And then in 1998, Donald Watts, son of Slick, stayed home and went to UW when no one did then. All the Seattle Ballers, and there's a million, they all go to Arizona. Jason Terry, Michael Dickerson. Donald Watts stayed home, and they found some Yahoo Canadian named Todd McCullough, who was the best center they ever had. And the Huskies in 1998 squeaked into the tournament. Dan Dickau was on that team before he transferred to Gonzaga. They beat Xavier in the first game, which was like an 11-6. Then they got lucky. Richmond, a 14 seed, upset a 3 that year. So my Huskies, I'd never even seen them in the tournament. They go to the second round, and they're playing Richmond, a 14 seed. They beat them, Sweet 16, long story short. Maybe you guys remember this. They lost at the buzzer to UConn and Rip Hamilton, Khalid El-Amin, and UConn had this sequence at the end where they kept missing shots, and the Huskies had 2 7-footers. Todd McCullough, I remember, and there you couldn't quite get the block, and UConn won at the buzzer. Rip Hamilton, it was a magnificent shot. I believe UConn ended up winning the title that year, 1998. No, check that. That would have been Kentucky. But that, for me, that Husky team almost went to the Elite Eight as an 11 seed out of nowhere, and damn it, I just wish I could get that back. Rip Hamilton, you ruined my life, dude. You did.
I'm going to talk about that 98 tournament here in just a minute. My favorite 3, and I'll go really quick because the calls are lined up, and we're going to dedicate this whole half hour to you guys.
Yep.
Give us your favorite memories. And with all this NCAA tournament games here, your schools across this nation, just sitting on your couch watching something spectacular. My 3 quick ones, March 19th, 1995. Probably the greatest 4.8 seconds I've ever witnessed in my entire life, sitting courtside, half court, right there in the middle of all the action, covering one of my first ever NCAA tournaments at Boise State. Here comes Tyus Edney, 1 point down against Missouri, takes the inbounds pass, 6 dribbles. I counted them. I'll never forget them. 6 dribbles, and he goes down. It's a fadeaway layup. And all of a sudden, UCLA beats Missouri 75-74, and they go on to beat Arkansas for the national championship. Anybody in Boise, Idaho, and Tyus Edney, it happens every single year. That memory comes up, and it was one of the greatest things. Let me take you to March 15th, 2001. I call it the greatest 4-game session in the history of the NCAA tournament. It happened right here in Boise, and the record book still indicates it. 4 games played that day, guys. The final score, the aggregate score, 7 points in 4 straight games. Georgia State beat Wisconsin 50-49, Maryland over George Mason 83-80, Georgetown over Arkansas 63-61, and then Hampton, as we all remember, over Iowa State 58-57, 7 points. Still an aggregate score. When I wrote 4 columns that day, because after that first game, I said it can't get any better. Okay. Second game, I wrote another column. It can't get any better. Third game, fourth game, unbelievable day. And then my final one, 1998, Utah, my alma mater, shows up in Boise, Idaho. Utah beats San Francisco and Boise by 17, beats Arkansas by 6. So they go on to the Sweet 16. They beat West Virginia by 3. They crush Arizona by 25 points. They go to the Final Four. They beat North Carolina by 6 in San Antonio. And I've never in my life, and I'm not ashamed to admit this, I have never in my entire life cried so hard in my life after the win, when they beat North Carolina to go to the national championship game in my living room, I bawled my brains out for well over an hour. I was a grown-ass adult, and I cried over a sporting event, and then Kentucky beat them, kind of put an end to it. Tubby Smith, I hate you. I still hate you. I don't like you. I've never liked you. Tubby Smith to this day is evil enemy number one. But Utah going on that run was unbelievable for me. Those are my 3 favorite memories.
That's what you never forget. I'll never forget Andre Miller in that run.
Yeah,
Andre Miller, bro.
Andre Miller, Michael Doliak, Hana Matola, and Alex Jensen. They were all 4 coming out of the Boise region. They always name a region, all region team. 4 of Utah's after Utah left that. 4 of the 5 were Utah basketball players
around the region
on all that region team coming out of.
Remember that Arizona team? They knocked off that Mike Bibby, Jason Terry team in the Elite 8.
It was Mike Bibby,
huge one. Yeah, I
25 points.
I love that Arizona team. Broke my heart. All right, let's get to the calls. It's the Taco Bell hotline. And it's ready to serve you up a crunch wrap. Mike, you're first up. What's your ultimate, or what's the tournament memory you want to share?
Hey, so 83 Jimmy V. That was, I was only 14, 15. Didn't even follow basketball that much, but I knew what I was looking at was something pretty incredible.
Yeah, that was all-time memory.
Houston, was it, right?
Yes, sir.
And then 91, 92, 2 complete, one was a complete choke job, and then the other one, I don't think I ever had as much fun watching a team than Stacey Augmon and UNLV. And sticking Christian Leitner ruined everything both those years.
For so many people. Christian Leitner just ruined it, right? For like an era. Leitner just won everything.
I didn't understand the hate. I kind of liked the guy.
Okay, you kind of liked Leitner back then. Yeah, you would.
I understand. That he was kind of the. I get it. But
good memory though.
Yeah, he's all time. You can't talk about the NCAA tournament without talking about Christian Leitner.
No way. 4 Final Fours in 4 years. We got Brad. Appreciate you on the program. Taco Bell hotline. Brad, go for it.
Well, I guess we'll talk about Christian Leitner some more. So. It's the first sports memory that I can think of where I was truly disappointed and heartbroken when he hit that shot to put out Kentucky. Oh. And I was in 3rd or 4th grade, and it was the first time I was really paying attention to college hoops. And the reason was because I had a kid had moved to Idaho from Kentucky, and he turned me on to Kentucky basketball.
Nice.
And so I was rooting for him, and then just rips my heart out. I remember I was at my aunt's for afternoon dinner, and I screamed, and my mom and aunt came in, and they're like, "What's wrong?" And I, was inconsolable at the time. So that's my biggest NCAA memory.
That's a great one. And Leitner did not miss that game. He was perfect from the field, perfect from the line, and perfect at stomping on a Kentucky player's chest that's where right. We look back revisionist, I can't believe he wasn't tossed from that game. But then again, it was a little more different in 92 than it was now with physicality. And
yeah, I remember just now why I didn't hate Christian Leitner, because I already had somebody I didn't like, and it had everything to do with the NCAA tournament, and his name was Danny Ainge.
Yes.
Oh. So I hated Danny Ainge from 79 to now, and especially now that he's just kind of destroying my Utah Jazz. But that layup against Notre Dame, I was watching that with some college buddies, and I hated that. And I hadn't even hated BYU at that point. I just didn't like Danny Ainge.
It's the weirdest thing ever, too, because I don't know why I didn't love Duke then. I just didn't. I mean, I liked the teams that are kind of. I was a nerdy little white kid from suburban Seattle, and my favorite teams were that UNLV team that Mike talked about.
Made sense.
And then other than it was like the Fab Five. Right after that, I wanted the Fab Five to beat Duke. I wanted UNLV to beat Duke. So yeah. When Jason Kidd and Lamont Murray and Cal ended Duke's run, it would have been Hurley's senior year, Grant Hill's junior year in the Sweet 16. I was tremendously happy because at that point, Duke in my whole life had never not been to a Final Four. Let's get Jeff on the program. Appreciate him holding. It's the Taco Bell hotline, sharing your NCAA March Madness memory. Jeff, bring it.
Before I share my memory, I just need to say that in the history of Prater and the Ballgame, yesterday's show was an all-timer. If you didn't hear it, you got to go on the app. You got to listen to yesterday's show, because we had first of all, I mean, your mom, Ballgame, stands in a class by herself as like probably the greatest caller that the show has ever had. That was sensational. But we also got gems like the thing. Speaking of San Diego, or speaking of vomiting, what about San Diego State last night? That was Prater's gem from yesterday.
That was a good
which
one.
was phenomenal. And then you coming up with, first of all, Harry Potter's owl being named Sphincter. Unbelievable. I don't even know
Thank you.
why that is in your brain, but
I don't know either.
And then my personal favorite, and this is going to be a T-shirt at some point in time, you saying, "Pump my nads, Prater, pump them," after talking about the size and strength of a quarterback prospect for the NFL draft. So by all measurements, yesterday was the best show, I think, in the history of the program. My memory of the NCAA tournament that I'll never forget. I'll be old and senile. I got to leave school. I got to go to Capitol High where my dad taught, where the teams were practicing, and I got to see Shaquille O'Neal break a backboard.
What?
In the Capitol Gymnasium. Ask any teacher who was there when Shaq was here. He also signed a backboard at the Foot Locker at the mall, which is really cool. They had it up for years. And the other thing I'll remember is Bobby Knight being here. Same thing. They're practicing, and they brought all the kids, the PE classes, in to watch the practices. And his language was so terrible that they had to take all the kids at Capitol High out of the gym because they couldn't let him listen to Bobby Knight. So as much as like the tournament, my kid Prater covered some of the best memories in Boise, but I'll never forget seeing Shaquille O'Neal break a backboard at Capitol High School's gymnasium, and then hearing Bobby Knight say some language that I guarantee most of those high school students in Boise had never heard before.
Oh, I love that. I had not heard the Bobby Knight one, the Shaq backboard thing, and my two kids went to Capitol. I've heard that story several times. I can collaborate, and that's absolutely fact, and that's a beautiful story, man. I love that story.
I had no idea. Jeff, appreciate the call. Way to constantly bring it, and thanks for what you said about yesterday's show. Always fun. Greg, Taco Bell Hotline. You're up, man. March Madness memory. What you got, Gregor?
Well, I'm a lot older than you, and I have some really good Washington basketball memories. These were back in a long time ago, but from 1943 through 53, they made the Elite Eight 4 times. In 1953, they actually made the Final Four.
I wasn't around then, man, and I don't know if they had the contract with CBS then. I don't know if DirecTV was around. I don't know if my March Madness package was around. I don't know it was called the Elite Eight then because there was only 8 teams or 16 teams in the tournament. Love the call, love the knowledge. But yeah, if they were good then, Craig, what the hell happened to Husky basketball? And then UConn did it again to him in 2006, if you remember that game. But yeah. Good stuff. So apparently the Huskies were good at some point. Did that guy watch those games? He says he's a lot older.
He is apparently a lot older than us.
Oh, good stuff,
40s
man.
and 50s, man. Holy cow.
Guy going back in the vault, talking about March Madness memories in the 1950s. That's a good one right there. I have a cut of some March Madness memories, but also the Mountain West has 3 teams left, one of which is playing tonight. You saw San Diego State. Dude,
Vomit.
Keep the Taco Bell hotline open. What are you expecting of these 3 Mountain West teams? 1 win, 2 wins, all 3 of them, no wins. Mountain West going to go 0-4 in this thing. 208-424-9300. Prater on the ball game. Let's keep up with the madness.
From the Beacon Plumbing Traffic Studio, this is Ticket Traffic.
Drive Check brought to you by Villa Sport Fitness, where you can enroll during March for only $4. All 4 Villa Sport